It's 10 o'clock and this is the network service of Radio Nigeria. Good morning, listener. Welcome to another edition of Electoral Reform Hour on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Last week, we had an insightful conversation with Dr. Ayokunle Fagbemi, Executive Director of the Center for Peace Building and Socioeconomic Resources Development, CESPAD. We discussed extensively on building a peaceful and inclusive electoral process. And it was a truly engaging discussion. You, our valued listener, called in to share your thoughts on how to make our elections fairer and more inclusive for everyone. We appreciate your contributions and look forward to another impactful session today. This time we're switching gears to something equally important: strengthening electoral transparency in our country. Transparency is key to building trust in our elections. So today, we'll be exploring ways to make our system more open, reliable, and truly reflective of the people's voice. Don't go anywhere. My name is Ezenwawago, your anchor. Electoral Reform Hour is a program aimed to foster inclusive dialogue among citizens from varied backgrounds concerning electoral reforms and constitutional amendment, enhance public understanding and awareness regarding electoral reform, and compile and present citizen-derived recommendations to the National Assembly and INEC for consideration. This program is brought to you by Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa with generous support from MacArthur Foundation. Nigeria's push for electoral transparency has made progress, but significant challenges remain. The introduction of the bimodal accreditation system BVAS and the INEC results viewing portal during the 2012 was a bold attempt to enhance credibility. These technologies aimed to ensure accurate voter accreditation and enable real-time result transmission. However, technical glitch, delay in uploading results, and insufficient communication from the electoral officials seemingly undermined public trust. Allegations of malpractice, voter suppression, and electoral violence further raised credibility issues, posing serious questions about the system's ability to deliver fair and transparent elections. Despite the legal reforms in the Electoral Act 2022, their inconsistent implementation highlighted deeper systemic flaws. How can Nigeria ensure effective deployment of electoral technology to restore public confidence? What steps can be taken to address systemic challenges like voter suppression, electoral violence, and lack of accountability? Joining us to explore these critical issues is Mboho Eno, Deputy Director of the Accountability Program at the Center for Journalism Innovation and Development, CJID, an experienced and seasoned project manager with 12 years experience providing analytical support for strategic and transformational projects across government, non-governmental, and media sectors. Mboho has led projects in Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Gambia with expertise in data analysis, problem solving, and implementing high-quality standards. Mboho brings a wealth of insight into addressing complex challenges. We're excited to hear his perspective on practical solutions for strengthening Nigeria's electoral process and restoring public trust. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Sorry we had to drag you out of your very, very busy schedule, but that's service to the fatherland.
Yeah, I mean, when matters of national importance are about to be discussed, of course, it's something we can always hold on to. Put every other thing on hold to have that conversation.
I'm happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
So, straight up, what are the major loopholes in the election result collation for that you think compromise integrity, and how can we address this challenge?
Okay, thank you for that question. And let me also start by saying that 2023 general elections was an opportunity where citizens actually thought we're going to get it right. That based on the precedents of Ekiti and Osun, staggered elections that are, off-cycle elections that had held the previous year before the general elections. Then we came into the general elections, and then we had pretty much everything was going well until we got to collation. Not till collation, until the day of the election. So because we started hearing, as you said in your introduction, a lot of threats and counter threats issued to citizens, and without any action from the security forces. But going to the question you are asking, that election, we in the civil society thought we've covered all the loopholes where coalition always had issues with technological deployment, only to get to see that apparently it appeared like citizens had a different understanding from the electoral body and what they meant by transmission and coalition. So I think one critical area that we need to clarify going forward is to clarify that terminology called transmission, and also to also clearly mark out the role of the IReV, and not just for it to be a result viewing portal. So much resources was committed into that platform, into technological deployment and elections, and I think it should have a more central role than just a viewing portal. More like a kind of what's the word now? A platform to kind of simultaneously digitally compute result. That sort of responsibility should be added. So if there are loopholes in the Electoral Act, I think it's just that of proper definition of terms and proper definition of roles and responsibilities of technologies to be deployed. I think that would be what I will have to say on that.
Well, so you sometimes doesn't it look like we are outsourcing the role of who explains this to the citizens? Because upload of results, yes, to the viewing portal, like you said, was misconstrued to be a collation platform.
Yeah.
But I thought that it's responsibility of citizen groups and organizations, like civil society organizations, to unpack all of this. So were we complicit also in the ignorance of what it meant, remembering that this is INEC's own initiative? It's not the initiative it's INEC's initiative to show up, transparency.
I think the trust quotient in the electoral umpire was really high. So that also allowed, did not really afford civil society the opportunity of asking critical questions. So I think we also took explanations from the electoral umpire, in this case INEC, face value, without digging deep. So to borrow your language, I think one way or the other, civil society were complicit, and then that also brings up the idea that we need to kind of unpack ideas, unpack conversations, have larger forums where we have conversations around things that we want to do, and also be more critical in our thinking. I mean, I think we were just so happy about the display at in Osun and Ekiti that we were not playing the devil's advocate.
Yeah, I'll stay there a bit, and because the reason is that this is a public education program.
Yes.
Ekiti, there was no collation.
Not at all.
In the Ekiti.
Not at all.
So the IReV did not collate. It did not collate in Edo. It did not collate in Nasarawa. So where did we get the idea in the general election that it was going to be a collation mechanism and not an upload?
Yeah. So I think that the electoral umpire INEC had a lot of media engagement, and from their engagement with citizens, it is. I would want to say that probably they too were not really sounding that note of differentiating between collation and uploading. Yes, we kept saying it will be uploaded, it will be uploaded. I mean, I think we just took it for granted that naturally when it's uploaded, it should translate to collation. Using it to verify collated data. And we did not engage that component of that conversation.
I'm going to move on, but before that, it's actually meant to verify collated data. But there has to be a complaint for that to happen according to the law. So you don't just it's not automatic that you verify. Somebody has to complain that what is at the polling unit is different from what you are doing at collation. So if that complaint doesn't come, there is no need to refer to
IReV,
to the viewing portal, so that perhaps is also some challenge.
I think yes, it's some challenge, and that also asks the question: how do citizens really get to engage with the electoral umpire? If we look at social media, which has become like part of our daily lives now, there were a lot of complaints. This result, I mean, we had different results uploaded on IReV and what was obtainable by citizens at their polling units, pictures and all of that, and they were not a tally. In fact, I think there was one supposed uploaded result that was an image of an individual. So I think. When there are complaints like that, I think the electoral umpire also need to take a step back. There was a huge outcry of different results. For instance, even Premium Times did an IReV tabulation, and it even turned out that what was uploaded was kind of different, especially in the case of Rivers.
Yeah, no,
based on what was announced.
We all flagged that.
So, and a couple of other instances. So I think for INEC to build the confidence of citizens in whatever technology it's deploying, it also doesn't really need to wait until there is an official complaint.
Yeah, right. No, citizens are not in the contest. The people contesting the election are the political parties and then when you talk about citizens, the citizens on social media and the citizens, in the communities, and then you are the expert here. What's the percentage of citizens who are on social media, and then those on social media, where do they live? Many of them are not even in Nigeria, talking about elections that are held in Nigeria. But we are going to go to neutrality now. I know you are not a journalist, But you practice journalism.
Oh, well, I don't know where you got that information from.
I've been your guest, so you can. It's like me saying I don't.
Yeah, well,
I'm not a journalist.
I'm not a journalist,
but
I
I'm
work
here.
in the media space.
So, part of what I see is that the media, for instance, was also pitched in an openly partisan manner. Some of the media, spaces. How do we mitigate those kind of things where people who were supposed to be neutral and are able to unpack these issues in an a non-partisan way, pitch tents, and even some civil society people, I hear them say they were hot, and then I'm asking myself, why will you be hot? What is your own elite? You are, your role is to put this thing out for people to see. What can we do to create a more neutral space for the media and civil society?
Okay, so first and foremost, let's understand.
If you lose your voice a bit, it will be fine.
Okay, so let's understand that whoever is practicing as a journalist or as a civil society player is first a citizen and also has rights to participate in the electoral processes, also has rights to support a candidate of his or her choice. However, when it comes to the profession, that's where you need to draw a line between your professional conduct and your personal views, yes, which is what I believe you're asking about.
Yes.
You can't, in the context of the Nigerian situation that we find ourselves today, you can't talk about the partisanship or non-partisanship of a media platform without talking about the ownership of the media platform. If you look critically at the media platforms we have in Nigeria, they're either owned by politicians or owned by friends of politicians. And in that case, it's normally said that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Except you have a very high moral standard, and you also understand what you have professional goals you're aiming at, and you also understand the need for you to be professional in whatever you're doing. It will be very difficult for a journalist who, first and foremost, there's a problem of revenue in the media sector. And then these guys, the players, come with bags of money. I mean, it's just, and then don't forget that media houses also exist as a business to make profits.
Should it be all the time?
Oh, well, it shouldn't be all the time, because there are times where you have to, for societal good, you're also there for societal good. Section 22 of the Constitution says that the media is meant to hold the government accountable to the people. And when we look at the economic aspect alone, we tend to forget the constitutional mandate handed over to the media.
So we hire talents and turn them to marketers.
If that's a very interesting way to put it, because you also need to get this audience to really follow your program. So if being whatever is what they think will draw the revenue, I think that's where there is actually an issue. We need to talk about how we can make media industry in Nigeria sustainable. Right now, most media platforms are not sustainable.
I wish that was our conversation. Maybe you will create another opportunity to discuss that, so that I don't steer completely away from what we want. So, in terms of the deluge of information that goes out during elections and the need to verify, I know elite audiences can verify, information, but the greater percentage of society will have such. So how do we help to fact check social media driven information that most times, like I said, people have parody accounts, they just put out whatever they like. You talked about the IReV. If you check the IReV now, which is the purpose of the IReV, is to be able to help researchers get information on Nigeria election. Most of the issues that were there at that time are no longer there. But how many people are able to get back to know that if you want results on Nigeria election now, you can actually get it in the cloud, which was not. So how I know you are very experienced and checking where you have worked. How do we help communities to, get out of this disinformation quagmire?
So that's a very critical question because, as you said, majority of Nigerians live in the rural community. And that's where we have institutions like the National Orientation Agency. We have institutions like the FRCNs of this world. I mean, it's the largest network in Africa and a radio network in Africa. And you would want to, most research shows that about 70% of Nigerian homes own a radio set. That's to tell you the power of the media. So, for instance, what have we been able to do at the CJID in terms of educating citizens on fact checks and fact checking? Prior to the elections,
you guys are big on that, very, very big on that.
Thank you so much. Prior to the elections, we had a partnership with the NOA where we trained them. We did more like a trainer of trainers session for them in Abuja. And they had representatives from across the geopolitical zones coming for that training. We trained them on fact-checking. The reason why we did that was because NOA is one of the few institutions in Nigeria that have a local government office by the nature of their act.
Yeah.
And that national distribution is meant to be able to carry out grassroots sensitization. I happened to be in a local government in Akwa Ibom State sometime in 2022, and I met with the community mobilization officer for that local government of NOA, who was telling us about their campaigns, how they go about. So they already have this mandate to educate citizens. The only question we should be asking is, are they skilled enough to do that? And that was what CJID was responding to prior to 2023 elections by training the staff of NOA, who in turn went on to train their other colleagues who were not there. That's one strategy to combat misinformation at the grassroots level. The other strategy is to engage this kind of programs where we have conversations on radio and the traditional media to sensitize citizens. And then we also at the CJID have a component of our fact-checking program called the Media Literacy Program that goes to schools, secondary schools, to train students.
So we're moving towards a little break, but before then, how effective has this fact-checking misinformation been especially after the last election?
So during the election, you would say we at the center really tracked the number of disinformation. There was an upsurge in disinformation generally prior to the election, and we did a tracking, and we have discovered that sometimes throughout election period there is a high volume of disinformation that shoots out, but it tends to drop after the election. But that does not mean that there are no health or other forms of disinformation. And in terms of effectiveness, we can actually say that the fact checks have, maybe we're yet to conduct a study to show the effectiveness clearly, but we also know that the feedback that we get in terms of comments on posts and all of that, which still takes us back to digital media, social media, and so that still leaves a huge chunk of Nigerians outside. But you know that one of the impact of the 2023 election is every time you want to, a politician is making a statement, you say, fact check me. Or you can fact check, verify, and all of that. So I think that there's an awakening consciousness within Nigerians that there's a need to actually.
Well, it's based on the assumption that nobody verifies, and even when they are lying, they still lie and still say verify me.
Oh, well, that is where we citizens also need to call out when they see
yes,
something.
in Ghana, really, you had you had the journalists actually on real life fact checking.
Okay,
so somebody makes a statement, immediately they come and say no.
That's the Ghana Fact Checking Coalition.
Yeah.
The CJID office in Ghana was part of that.
I know,
coalition.
And
we also did something similar in Nigeria with the Nigerian Fact Checkers Coalition in Nigeria. So as debates, as campaigns were ongoing, we were always, so that's when we now ran a 24 hours situation room on fact checking.
Oh, during the 23
elections, like a week
so
to the election.
How do you segregate in terms of what was false, what was true?
We have a rating. What do you call it? We have a rating card, a kind of criteria to rate whatever is. Whatever. What do we call it now? Whatever requests to fact check we get, we have a template where we do the rating to rate them either false, not enough information.
Is this something we can mainstream into our electoral laws?
So, that's a
because this is a very huge contribution.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if we leave it at project,
So we started a conversation with the electoral umpire to train their staff. Maybe that's just at the point of intervening at the EMB level, but not at the point of making it a law.
No, I'm just thinking. It just something.
Yeah, maybe it might be something we might just need to consider, think more about and have broader conversations around.
It's still the Electoral Reform Hour, and you can be part of this live program by sharing your comments via the social media platform on X at PAACA.ng with the hashtag at Electoral Reform Hour, and you can leave your questions and comments for us on Facebook via at PAACA CAP, and our WhatsApp number 0816 8083424. The phone lines will be open soon. Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned to Electoral Reform Hour, the network service of Radio Nigeria. We'll be back shortly.
Are you ready for change? Join the Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa, PACA, for the Electoral Reform Hour. This program amplifies electoral reform campaigns and provides citizens with opportunity to make meaningful contributions that will strengthen our electoral process.
I think what we should do and what we've been advocating for is to find a way to harmonize all the biometrics we have been doing in the country so that we have one. If you have your unizik card, for instance, you should be able to carry all the data, social security, like it's done everywhere. So when you vote, everything about it is there.
My position is that the result, substantive, the election ends at the polling unit. Once the presiding officer, in the presence of polling agents, in the presence of security men, in the presence of all other stakeholders, including some of the people that voted, counted the scores of candidates and parties openly, entered the results into form EC8A, and snapped it. That is the real result, and it is that goes into IReV.
Let's embark on the path to significant transformation and well-informed decision-making together. As the National Assembly, INEC and other stakeholders work towards improving our electoral process, you too can be part of the decision-making process by participating in the radio program.
You are on to Comrade Abdullah Muhammad. I'm calling for Bida Local Government Area Council of Niger State. I'm advocating to federal government or the member constituted to look into this electoral reform. That why should a member be in the house to speak the truth? At the end of the day, what we continue receiving or hearing is to suspend that member and to tell him to join any political party of his choice. Who then are we expecting to come and tell us the truth?
This is Brian Orator from Latte ID State. My idea is that INEC should stand firmly as an independent body. Secondly, the local government election should be conducted from the INEC, not from the national level.
Remember, democracy is for the people. Together, we can make a difference. Let your voice be heard in the Electoral Reform Hour, where every opinion matters. PACA, making democracy work for the people.
Thanks for staying tuned. We are back with your favorite program, Electoral Reform Hour, on the network service of Radio Nigeria.
Welcome back to Electoral Reform Hour on the network service of Radio Nigeria. Before the break, we started discussing strengthening electoral transparency in Nigeria. Let's pick up from where we left off. Where I was just talking about how we can, the nicety of that contribution, of fast checking and all of that. And I was in Ghana. I saw how effective that was, and maybe because I was too involved in 2023, I didn't even know the volume of work that you did here. So I was just like whether we could. But away from that, INEC is always doing its reviews. It's like I said in one of the events, it's a ritual. In 2011, there is a review. Stakeholders are invited. Everybody, lessons learned. Is it something we can try to see, get independent audit as well? Independent audit of our elections, away from what INEC, its own reviews. The National Assembly is supposed to be auditing the electoral reform, but can there be a citizen audit or independent audit, if you like?
Let's get it clear. Independent audit of the result, or
no, not results, of process. We finished a 2023 election. Yes. The review is INEC's review, yes, which is in some sense their own audit,
internal.
But we have no other, not even the political parties' review. Even the CSO, after we have issued the report, have all the press statements we're done. I'm trying to tap from what you know from your different jurisdictions. What do you think is something we can explore?
So I think it's something that is worth trying, because one, it will also help to identify from an external point of view where there was mismanagement of processes,
or better management, because it shouldn't always be
mismanagement. Of course, where things were done correctly, yes, and where there needs to be praises and where there needs to be some form of reprimand. But I would, in engaging in that audit, we also need to be sure of who the auditors are. What's
excellent. Hold it there. You can now join the conversation by calling 091 50 910 482 091 50 910 483. It's the usual number with which we want you to engage and participate with us on Electoral Reform Hour, We're expecting your call. You can also leave your questions and comments for us on WhatsApp at 0816-8083-424 and on X at paka.ng and Facebook at paka. Hello. Hello. So, what? Hello, good morning.
Are you hearing me now?
I'm hearing you.
Okay. Just in the studio, good morning.
Good morning. Who are we on to?
I am Alhaji Ibrahim from Badegi in Kacha local government of Niger State. Sir, before I go on my contribution, I would like to use this opportunity to beg federal government, especially the president and the minister of works, that he should forgive Niger State. Anything that we naturalize did to him, if they should kindly forgive us. Our federal roads.
We are going to charge you for this one.
Excuse me, sir. Our federal roads today be a gateway to heaven. How many? Nobody in Niger State can record the death toll of the young that the nation depends. Thank you very much. Now to my contribution. So in every.
I will send you invoice on that one first.
Okay, sir. In every society, in every nation, no nation developed with simple hand. You know, America today.
You said no nation develops with what?
I said no nation attain greatness with simple hand.
With simple hand, okay.
Everybody knows that America has already attained greatness in democracy. Why? Is through people's struggle. If we struggle much, our society will be good. Our nation will attain greatness. In electoral reform system that you are discussing, sir, there is nothing better than it. You know, let me tell you, INEC to please use the principle our language are saying. Our principle of correction said in neutral land said, beat the innocent so that guilty ones may know their consequence. Anybody that is in government whose children or his people committed anything like political manipulation should be disciplined first before opposition people. If they don't do that, our democratic greatness will fail. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Beat the innocent so that the guilty ones can learn. That's interesting Nupe adage. And that's talking about sanctions. But it's still 091 50 482 091 50 483. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Electoral Reform Hour on Radio Nigeria. Hello.
Hello.
You're welcome. Can we meet you?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Thank you for what you are discussing. Morning more Igbo from Bida.
Morning from Bida. Please make your comments or your contributions.
You know, it's consigned. The INEC is the one bringing Nigeria politics down. If the INEC is doing the really things, give the rightful person who wins, Nigeria will not be as it is. Please tell the government, the INEC, to be permanent of their own. They should not be interference from the government. Let them be their own. Not that the government will be interfering, telling them who to put and who not to put. This is called absolute corruption. You know, absolute power corrupt absolutely. Please let the corruption be wiped away from INEC. That is what brought Nigeria to this condition we are. If they have given the rightful person, Nigeria will not be in this mood. Please, God will bless Nigeria for INEC to bring Nigeria to the limelight. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. 09150910482, 09150910483. Hello. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. So Mboho, yes, you were.
Yeah, so I think we should go back to.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Ibrahim Hassan, popularly known and called Orator, calling from Lafia in Kwara State, sir.
Oracle from Lafia in Kwara State.
Yes, sir. Okay, by regards to your guest.
Thank you very much.
The issue of Nigeria electoral reform, the existing electoral body, there's nothing wrong to it. The only thing we need to change is to change our, in a country whereby politicians they were freely buying and selling votes. Secondly, they don't allow us to elect people of our choice. So there's nothing wrong to electoral process. The only problem we have now, the mentality by our politicians that is ruining the process, even though the process is genuine and stand. That is my contribution. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Oracle from Lafiaji.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your comments. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Ezenwa.
Good morning, sir.
This is Abubakar Musa calling from Bida, Niger State, sir.
Abubakar, good to hear from you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Good morning, Tiget.
Good morning to you, Abubakar.
Yeah, I was trying to call you this morning on the politics today, but unfortunately my call could not get through.
Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful discussion and analysis.
Thank you.
You did a very good work there, and also the professor at the other hand. But we have to bring in morality into our policy. That was what I was trying to contribute. Our policies is without morality, and anybody who did not have morality will do anyhow in the election duty. So there is need for us to see what we can do to employ or enjoy our religious leaders to please preach the issue of morality so that we can moralize our politics. Because at times, even INEC officials have to be forced by our Nigerian politicians. And one of the past chairman of INEC, Alaji Professor Atai Ujega, said that there is not any difficult person to deal with like Nigerian politicians. They just want to ensure that they hold power by all means. There is need for us to moralize our politics. Your guest have said a lot. I want him to address this issue of campaign advert.
Campaign financing?
Campaign financing, campaign advertorial advert, where most of the campaign messages are full with moody language, mudslanging matches in which politicians consider it more befitting to abuse each other than address constructive governance issues. In fact, there was this gathering that was held in Nigeria. A government representative who is also a politician, I don't want to mention name, was telling a presidential aspirant of a particular party that he should be ready for enough political talk, which I believe our politics today is full of words that are not constructive.
Thank you, Abu, for your contribution, so that we can have other people's contribute as well. Thank you so very much, Abu. Hello. 09150910482, 09150910483.
Hello, Mr. Ezenwa.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, this is Mr. Chilomso on here. I'm calling from Bida, the ancient city of the
Chinonso, it's good to have you.
Yeah, in fact, your topic is very good. Every day, every Thursday, I use to listen. I don't.
Thank you. Hello, Chinonso. Okay, I think Chinonso will have to call back. Somebody asked you about campaign financing.
Yeah.
Maybe you just quickly.
Okay, so interesting. Thank you for that question, caller. So campaign financing has been a subject that I've personally been very interested in the last 6 years, to the extent that on the 3rd or 4th of June 2022, I want to believe so, during one of the citizen town halls that we had with the INEC chairman, I had to ask him. And the question was simple. 2019, we did not have an audited account of what political parties spent. And there was no report from INEC on that. And up to this moment, I am not sure that we have that of 2023. I mean, and I know that before that meeting that we've had a one-on-one in the office of the INEC chairman post 2019, where I asked him this same question. And as at then, more than 6 months after, he had actually said that not all political parties, as at the time I asked him about 2019, had submitted their own report. At the town hall that I'm referencing, I asked him again, and he said they were in the process of compiling that. There is a law that limits what political parties that limits how much can be spent during campaign. And the law also says parties will submit to INEC. So the question should be, 6 months after every election, by the law, INEC, have you received those audited reports from the political parties? If you have not received them, the law also empowers you to take out some actions. What actions have you taken? From 2019 to 2023, we are preparing for 2027, and we are not even looking at, reviewing how judiciously political parties harnessed resources and expended them. And then
he's talking about mudslinging and all of those things, but let's leave that because of time. There are many things that we want to be able to. It's not all the time that we have quality like you. So straight on, the issue of voter registration, yes, and multiple identification that we have, is there a way we can put all of this together to improve our elections? And the NIMC, driver's license, all of those things, if we put them, how do we improve electoral management through some way of using all of this? And are there possible pitfalls that you see there?
I know I've answered this question this particular question in the last minimum of 3 times to different platforms in the last 2 weeks, and my stance had not changed. I do not believe that harmonizing the mode of identification for elections will improve electoral outcomes. However, I am a strong advocate
will it improve the process? We are not outcome people.
Will it improve the process? Personally, I doubt.
Because our focus is on process.
Yes, because if you look at the national identity card that we're talking about, we're trying to harmonize into, it's been fraught with a lot of foreigners being registered.
Yes.
There are issues of foreigners acquiring our national identity.
Yes.
A year ago or so, Paradigm Initiative had issued a statement that with 100 naira, you can get information of Nigerians from the NIMC portal.
Wow.
It's all over the place, and so it's the security of the database needs to be interrogated properly if we are going to adopt that as a mode of identification during elections. But if we harmonize, I believe that the cost of elections on the side of INEC will reduce, because it would take care of the registration process, and that's a huge chunk of budget that is going to go off from total cost of elections. And I am not a believer that, except there is proper scrutiny and sanitization of that national database that we call National Identity Management, with the National Identity Management Commission.
So a lot of people, part of what this program is aimed to do is to see how we harvest, views from knowledgeable people like you, and see how we pass it to TPRs. The appointments of resident electoral commissioners and even the chairman of INEC has been a very testy conversation. Is there something we can do to make it more independent and transparent?
Right now, the executive appoints and send to the legislature for confirmation. I would want to suggest that one way to reduce partisanship is to maybe allow the NJC to do that appointment, send to nominate names, nominate candidates, sent to the executive for their own bid, and then you send to the legislature. That way, the three arms of government are involved. And I also want to propose that the position of national commissioners, resident electoral commissioners, and that of the INEC chairman should actually be based on publicly available integrity data. So, instance, you appointing Mboho Eno now for a national commissioner, and then you get to realize Mboho Eno 2 years ago had a corruption issue. That automatically should disqualify me. And there are talks of some national commissioners being members of political parties. Is it just possible that we investigate these issues more before the names are even sent? And when the names are sent and there are petitions, can we put a break and do proper scrutiny? I think that's what we'll have.
So let's, Boho, we have the system that we have.
Yes,
is almost fireproof. What do I mean? The president nominates.
Yes,
sometimes even with the Council of State. After the nomination, before it even gets to the president, the State Security Service had already done the screening, gets to the president, who then takes it to the Council of State. The Council of State okays it, and then it goes to the National Assembly. If these mechanisms were effectively discharging their responsibility, some of the issues that we have, because the civil society, the media, in concert, working together, will say this candidate for this position is a member of a political party. Was it that the DSS that did the screening, that they are not aware that is a precondition for not qualifying?
When you have an apparatus of the government that is under the command of the GCFR, it's the same thing that happens in states where you have CX. The governors have absolute power to nominate, and so we also say that the police at the state levels don't also do their own proper. But I think that because we still having this military mentality, and that the commander-in-chief is still is the all in all. I mean, you can't really question, even when we're in a democracy. So I think I'm not too sure, because we don't get to see the reports that is submitted by the security forces, by the State Department. So we cannot tell how thorough their jobs have been. But where we have an uproar from civil society, media, and citizens about particular candidates, I think that's where we're still having, and then there's a non-action from the states. I think that's where we're having challenges.
Okay, we're on the home stretch. So I want us to I'll do a double-barrel question, but you try and take it in few seconds. The first one would be the recurring issue of vote buying and vote trading. And then you can also then add your three most important reform issues that you think we need to deal with, electoral reform issues that you think we need to do.
Vote buying, I think one of the callers mentioned it, there needs to be actual sanctions for perpetrators. We've been talking about vote buying and trading for a long time. And we get to see, we get to read on the media, EFCC have arrested so people with money for vote buying. After that, what happens? We get to hear police have done this and all of that. But there have been no actual conclusive prosecution. I haven't heard of any yet. Okay. We just had these professors that.
There are some prosecutions.
Prosecutions.
They are just in.
So we just had two that were concluded. The professors that were just sentenced by the court.
Is that your state, by the way?
Unfortunately, our Kwaivom came up in that. So I think we need to see more of that pragmatic willingness from the government agencies saddled with arresting and prosecuting.
Thank you. That's where I'm going to. Okay. That's where I'm going to have to stop it. Very special thanks to our guest, Mboho Eno, Deputy Director, Accountability Program, Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development, CJID, for joining us on this program today. To our dear listeners, thank you for joining us on this edition of the Electoral Reform Hour, brought to you by Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa with support from MacArthur Foundation. Our engineers today have been Onyebuchi Nwawe, Zakaria, ICT personnel Ayn Okeke and Egurefa Bola. Studio manager is Priska Okpara and Mahmoud Abubakar. Producer is Andohem Baohin and Joy Ubi. The supervisor is Usena Akila MNI. My facilitating crew have been Abu Grace and Jeremiah Nkume. And after the program, if you have any questions, you can reach out via text message. And we just especially want to appreciate you for your contributions. And to our funders, thank you so very much for continuing to support us. My name is Ezenwanwago, your anchor. Have a good day. You are injecting yourself. So make I be like statue.
And the paper. People were making too much noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, radio is a blind medium. So make they understand saying alive.